The Impossible Book. Chapter 1. What is impossible? A better question would be what is. It was only when I learned to sit with that second question that the word impossible revealed its true destructive importance. If I could go back in time and remove this word, this definition from the collective mind, the world would be a different place. This book would not be. In fact, it should not be, because the person writing it was taught it was impossible to write a book. The author was taught that so many things were impossible. But as we will discover, these are just learned beliefs. As children, our imaginations were infinite. We dreamed beautiful dreams and shared them with the world, only to be told, that's impossible. And yet, time and again throughout history, the impossible has been overcome. How can this word be true if it is not infinite? Everything that is not infinite is not real. The very meaning of infinite is that which never changes. So starting this book, we must realize that this word, like so many we've been taught, is a lie. Let's define a lie. If we look back 200 years, our world would have been considered impossible. The younger you are, the more real this world is to you, because you've always had things people of the past did not. When I was a child, there was no color TV. There were no cell phones until I was in my 20s. Today, children trade a pacifier for an iPhone. They trade physical contact for a text message. It has become impossible to spend time with your family because of your job, your business, your pursuit of money. In fact, one of the most important factors of being a human being has become impossible. Relationship is impossible. It has become impossible to have real relationships because of the distractions, the obligations, the countless things pulling at your attention. If you think about it, all life is relationship. Our first relationship starts with our parents. Depending on their life story, their experience with their parents, and everything they learned, our own lives are shaped. Unfortunately, so many people are taught what's possible and what's impossible. The problem is we never ask why. Why is it impossible? This word has been programmed into us. Imagine if you had a computer, and one of the first things you taught it was everything that was impossible to do. A computer is a machine. Whatever you introduce to its drive is what runs the system. I'm going to touch on the Western healthcare system for a moment. How many people in our system of programming believe it's impossible to heal the body without pills and medications? How many of those are you on? Do you ever ask yourself why? Recently, I learned about energy healing. This type of healing has been around for thousands of years in Eastern cultures. It's widely used and has even gained some acceptance in the West. Acupuncture is accepted. Chiropractic care is considered alternative medicine. But the Western pharmaceutical system is largely set up to treat symptoms. It rarely addresses the root cause. Traditional Chinese medicine has treated problems by dealing with the root cause for thousands of years. The energy, the programming that causes the blockage in the body. We know that disease exists, but what if disease was simply a body that was not at ease? A friend of mine once told me how his wife had mysteriously lost her hearing. They had been to many doctors without finding a clear path forward. Nothing was working. They were considering electrical probes into her brain. I mentioned I had learned a method called MTT that might help. It was a possibility. Through the body's energy system, this was likely a blockage that could be cleared relatively easily. In 5 to 15 minutes, I could walk her through a process she could self-administer, a series of statements, tapping specific acupoints, some movement therapy, and a few other details. I nearly lost a friendship. I've never spoken to him about it again. I don't know what happened with her hearing. I suspect they felt it was impossible for someone without a medical degree to have any clue how to help. I guess we'll never know. But what I do know is that it was impossible for them. Impossible because there was no acceptance that it could happen. If you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, You know he was in a bicycling accident that left him paralyzed. Today he is a teacher of alternative healing. Thousands have gone to his seminars, and many have been healed from so-called unhealable problems. He is not in a wheelchair. He walks without problems. He healed himself because he did not believe the word impossible. Health is such a big issue that we will touch on it again. When I started my practitioner's course for MTT, I met Colin, a man in his late 50s with stage 3 cancer. He was devastated by the diagnosis, colon cancer that had spread to his lungs and lymph nodes. We became close. I know no one else with as much faith as he has. His friends and doctors urged him to pursue chemotherapy. Colin saw another way. He chose alternative medicine. The peer pressure is more intense than anyone can imagine when you make that choice. Fortunately, his wife, who loves him and wants him around, supported his decision to tackle this monster differently. Colin stopped working. He focused on letting go of all the disease in his body. Stress is disease, but we're so used to it we think it's normal. He found a doctor treating him with a serum, adopted a keto diet, and lost 35 pounds. It's been nearly 3 months since I met him, and he is doing well. I see him in our meditation Zooms, on our coaching calls. We talk on the phone. He is focused on forgiveness, releasing all grudges, all disharmony. He is replacing them with love, happiness, and the support of those who accept his choice to live. At the time of this writing, he is a week away from what we hope will be a final all-clear CT scan. With stage 3 cancer, he statistically should be near death. So I ask you, if you were in his shoes, what would you have done? The word impossible comes up, and the probable solution is often accepted only because we've been programmed to believe healing otherwise is not possible. Throughout this book, I'm going to ask you to suspend the belief in the impossible. Go back to being a child. Humor me. Think, what if it were possible? What could I do with this new mindset? What could I accomplish? Who could I help? If I could forget the word impossible, what would my life be like? An enlightened master once said, "To see is to be free." Through the pages of this book, you will have that opportunity. This book contains concepts and revelations that are non-acceptable to normal society. If you take this knowledge and apply it, it will convert into wisdom. People often confuse knowledge and wisdom. I believe wisdom is the application of knowledge. You can go to school to learn how to drive a car, but until you get behind the wheel and navigate the highways, you will never have the wisdom of what it's like to drive. Now, if you are the kind of person who cannot accept that the world may be different from your current picture of it, I recommend you throw this book in the trash. Continue with your life as it is. But if you are someone who strives for a better life, a life that moves from merely existing as a human machine to truly living, trusting and loving, by applying the faith that impossible is just a lie, then read on. As we erase that lie, we begin to see what is possible. The choice is yours. Nobody else can make it for you. You're getting by, but is that all you want? Chapter 2. Realization. What is realization? It can become a very deep subject, but let's start with the basics. I'll begin with a story. In a third world country, there was a girl named Betty. Betty lived alone in a small apartment behind her family's house. She normally had meals with her parents in the main house, but on this particular day, there was a blackout, a common occurrence where electricity wasn't always reliable. As dinner time approached, it was already dark. Betty started her short walk to the main house. She opened her door, took a step, and suddenly froze, her breath catching in her throat. In the darkness right outside her door was a snake. Betty had a tremendous paralyzing fear of snakes. She rushed back inside, hoping the snake would eventually leave. But as time ticked by, her hunger grew. She had to get to dinner. She gathered her courage, opened the door again, and there it was, the snake, still waiting. Desperate, she had a thought. Perhaps if I get a flashlight, I can scare it away. She found a flashlight, her hands shaking. For a third time she opened the door, heart pounding. She pointed the beam of light directly at the snake, ready to frighten it. To her astonishment, there was no snake. Her father had simply left the garden hose coiled on the path. All the fear, the terror, the physical tension, it vanished in an instant. The theme of this story is simple. To see is to be free. When Betty saw the truth, that it was a harmless hose and not a deadly snake, the entire nightmare constructed by her imagination dissolved. The realization of the truth instantly changed her state of being and her experience of reality. This is the power we are exploring. Throughout this chapter, I will invite you to ask yourself questions. As you progress, the more truths you realize within yourself, the more freedom you will experience. We have been taught so many things, based on the opinions and unexamined beliefs of our teachers, parents, and culture. This isn't about blaming them. They were taught the same. But there is a vital difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is 6. Learning something. Wisdom is using that knowledge to experiment and realize the truth for yourself. Think of the truths you learned as a child. I was told a tooth fairy would exchange my lost teeth for money. My family celebrated Christmas, and I believed Santa Claus brought our gifts. These were likely my first encounters with well-intentioned lies. You probably had similar experiences, and you likely remember the surprise, even a little betrayal, when you realized they weren't true. To experience realization, you must first be open to the possibility that things you believe to be absolutely real and certain might be different. Some of the problems in your life may be the direct result of beliefs you've never questioned. You may have learned that certain kinds of people are bad, that one religion is right, or that a certain political party or life path is wrong. This is where the principle of polarity comes in. Polarity deals with opposites, hot and cold, big and small, right and wrong. But I tell you, they are all the same thing, separated only by degree. Hot and cold are just measurements of temperature. Big and small are just measurements of size. Right and wrong are often just measurements of perspective, shaped entirely by what you were taught. If your family had strict dinner table rules, it was wrong to get up before everyone was finished. The family across the street might have had a completely different experience. You may have been taught that one religion was right and all others were wrong. Until you can approach your beliefs with an open mind and reassess them, you will never have a new realization. This is the movement from knowledge to wisdom. You have the knowledge, now you must test it to see if it is your truth. The mirror of change. The reason you're reading this book is likely because you want to be free from some feeling, some suffering, or some limitation. You want to change something in your world or in yourself. So let me ask you, if you are unhappy and you look in the mirror at your frowning face, how do you get the reflection to smile? The answer is simple. The one being reflected must smile first. 7. This is a metaphor, but a profound one. So many people try to change their lives by manipulating the reflection, by changing jobs, partners, or diets, without ever changing the inner source. You cannot change the reflection without changing who you are within. Your inner world creates your outer world. Let me say this another way. Your physical, 3D reality is a perfect reflection of your inner world of thoughts, feelings, and your deepest self-image. Just like the face in the mirror, you must smile inwardly to see a smiling reflection. If you want to overcome a fear, you must first find courage within. If you want to lose weight, you must first embody the identity of a healthy person inside. I understand if this doesn't fully click yet, but by the end of this book, you will need to embrace this concept as fundamental truth. If you can't, you might as well stop here. Big realization number 2. The voices in your head. You have multiple voices in your head. One voice is very loud, judgmental, and constantly narrating your life. It tells you what to do, what not to do, what's good, what's bad, and what's wrong with you. For most of us, it's a continuous, often critical soundtrack. But ask yourself, why does it have to say, "That's a bird," when you see a bird? You already know it's a bird. Why does it whisper, "Be careful, this could be dangerous," often keeping you from taking that first step on a diet, entering a new relationship, or applying for a job outside your comfort zone? This voice is not you. You probably think it is, but it's not. This voice is the mind, and while you hear it in your head, the mind is not localized there. This might be a step too far for some, but I'll say it. The mind is a universal field. We are all connected to it. This is why you sometimes share the same thought as someone else, and why that thought is so often completely wrong. We'll explore this more later. For now, just introduce yourself to the idea that the mind is a tool, not the master. Now for the next voice. This one is very quiet and subtle. It doesn't scream. If you're not listening, you might miss it entirely, but it's there. When you ask yourself a deep question, the mind will always shout an answer first. But if you ask the mind to be quiet, and you listen carefully, a small, faint voice will offer the true answer. Some call this intuition, your inner spirit, or your higher self. The great discovery is this: once you realize the mind is the one running the show, you can stop agreeing with it. You can stop listening when it tells you you're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. By now your mind is probably defending itself. Only you can know that. There are infinite realizations to have, but this is step 1. One day you may ask, "Who am I?" And you'll probably answer with your name, your job, or your religion. But is that who you really are? Or is it what you were taught after you were born? We are like computers. We come with a basic operating system, and then life installs programs, the language, the beliefs, the ambitions of our parents. Sometimes this programming is so powerful, it overrides our own passions. I'm sure you know people who are successful by the world's standards, but feel empty inside because their path was never truly their own. There is nothing wrong with asking questions. And when you ask your inner spirit, listening carefully, you will hear that quiet, faithful voice answer. Realization is one of the most exciting parts of healing and growth, because freedom is found in truth. Truth never changes, because it is infinite. Falsehood, on the other hand, is ever-changing. You must realize the problem before you can address it. And the first problem to realize is that what you think is a snake is very often just a hose. Chapter 3. Acceptance. You've had a taste of realization. You've seen the hose for what it is. You've heard the faint whisper of your inner spirit beneath the mind's noise. A new possibility is dawning. And then, nothing happens. Or worse, everything seems to fight back. The diet fails on day 2. The old financial worry returns with a vengeance. A wave of doubt crashes over you. See, nothing has changed. You are the same. This is the critical moment. This is where most people turn back, convinced their realization was a fantasy. But you are not most people. You are at the threshold of the most counterintuitive and powerful step on this path, acceptance. And I can already hear your mind protesting. How can I accept this? This is the very thing I want to change. Accepting it feels like giving up. It makes no sense. You are right. It makes no sense to the logical mind. The mind operates on a simple formula. Fight what is bad, embrace what is good. But I am not asking you to accept the circumstance as permanent. I am asking you to accept the resistance as energy. Resistance is not a wall, it is a wave. Think of the last time you stood in the ocean. A powerful wave comes. If you tense up, fight it, and try to stand rigid against it, it will knock you down and drag you under. But if you relax, dive into it, or float over it, you allow its energy to pass through you. You remain unharmed. Your resistance, the fear, the doubt, the anger, is that wave. It is a concentrated packet of old energy, the final protest of the manager persona that is losing its job. It is the scream of the programming that says, this new way is impossible. To fight it is to grant it reality and power. You are arguing with a shadow. Acceptance is the act of turning on the light. The alchemy of acceptance. This is where we move from theory to practical alchemy. We must work with the energy, not just the idea. 1. Acknowledge the signal. When resistance arises, as a tight chest, a knot in your stomach, a shouting thought, do not ignore it, do not fight it. Stop. Place your hand on the physical sensation and say, internally, I see you, I feel you. You are allowed to be here. You are not agreeing with its story. You are acknowledging the energy of the story. 2. Transmute the energy. Now we use the body to reprogram the mind. This is the bridge. Anchored/tapping method. While focusing on the feeling, tap steadily on the karate chop point, the side of your hand, or the sore spot on your chest. State with conviction, even though I feel this resistance to the new belief, I deeply and completely accept this feeling and myself. You are loving the part of you that feels unlovable. You are accepting the part that refuses to accept. Anchored sank breath. Sit quietly. Feel the resistance as a dense dark cloud in your body. On your inhale, draw this cloud down into the furnace of your lower abdomen, your dantian. On your exhale, imagine this energy being incinerated and transmuted into pure neutral light. You are not expelling it, you are recycling its power. This is not a one-time event, it is a repetition. It is the process of peeling the onion. Each layer of acceptance reveals a deeper layer of realization, which will meet a new layer of resistance. This is the path. This is the work. When I was working to sell my car, a vehicle that held a deep story of lack, the resistance was a screaming voice. No one wants this. You are stuck with this burden. I could have fought it, which would have created desperate low-energy ads. Instead, I accepted the voice. I sat down, felt the panic in my gut and said, I feel the fear that I am stuck. I accept this fear is here. I tapped on it. I breathed it into my dantian until the charge dissolved. Only from that place of calm acceptance could I then assume the state of the man for whom the car was already sold. The resistance was the final blockage to be cleared before the flow could happen. Acceptance is the ultimate act of sovereignty. It is you as awareness claiming dominion over every aspect of your experience, even the uncomfortable ones. You are not a victim of your resistance, you are the container for it. And as the container, you have the power to transmute it. What you resist persists. What you accept transforms. It makes no sense to the logical mind, but you are not your logical mind. You are the one who commands it. Accept the resistance. Welcome it as the last stand of the impossible. Greet it, work with it, and watch it dissolve back into the nothingness from which it came. Then, and only then, will the new reality you realized have space to emerge. Revised section, The Alchemy of Acceptance. This is where we move from theory to practical alchemy. We must work with the energy, not just the idea. 1. Acknowledge the signal. When resistance arises, as a tight chest, a knot in your stomach, a shouting thought, do not ignore it. Do not fight it. Stop. Place your hand on the physical sensation and say, internally, I see you, I feel you. You are allowed to be here. You are not agreeing with its story. You are acknowledging the energy of the story. 2. Transmute the energy. Now we use the body to reprogram the mind. This is the bridge. You don't need any special training for this. You only need a willingness to engage with the feeling. The somatic method. Bring your focus to the physical sensation of resistance. Now using your fingertips, tap steadily and gently on the area, be it your chest, your stomach, or your thigh. You can also tap on the side of your hand. As you tap, state with conviction, even though I feel this resistance to the new belief, I deeply and completely accept this feeling and myself. This simple act of rhythmic tapping while acknowledging the feeling disrupts the energy loop of panic and tells your nervous system that it is safe. You are loving the part of you that feels unlovable. Or core. The core breath. Sit quietly. Feel the resistance as a dense, dark cloud in your body. On your inhale, draw this cloud down into the very center of your body, your core. That place just below your navel, that feels like your center of gravity. On your exhale, imagine this energy being incinerated and transmuted into pure neutral light. You are not expelling it, you are recycling its power. This is your inner furnace. This is not a one-time event, it is a repetition. It is the process of peeling the onion. Each layer of acceptance reveals a deeper layer of realization, which will meet a new layer of resistance. This is the path. This is the work. Chapter 4. More faith applied. You have unmasked the lie of impossible. You have realized a deeper truth. You have learned to accept and transmute the resistance that arises. Now we arrive at the engine of creation, faith. But this is not the faith you may be thinking of. This is not a passive hope, a wish sent out into the universe, or a desperate prayer to a distant God. The faith I speak of is a conscious command. It is the unwavering knowing that your inner world, the realm of your assumptions and feelings, is the primary cause, and the outer world is its effect. It is the application of the law that creation is finished. Think of it this way. The entire script of a play already exists. Every scene, every line, every outcome is written. Your job is not to write a new script. Your job is to step into the role you desire to play and command the stage to conform to it. This is applied faith. It is the bridge between your realization and its physical manifestation, and it requires more than belief. It requires embodiment. The 3 pillars of applied faith. 1. Assume the state of the wish fulfilled. This is the core practice. You must live from the feeling of the wish already being accomplished. If your desire is financial abundance, you do not wish for it. You feel the financial abundance now. You generate the somatic sensation of security, of ease, of overflow in your body. You make decisions from that place. You think from that place. You are not a person trying to get abundant. You are abundance, expressing itself. 13. 2. Persist in your assumption. The world you see with your physical eyes, the 3D reality, will lag behind. It is the last echo of your old state. It will present evidence that contradicts your new assumption. The bank account may still be low. The car may not have sold. This is the critical test. This is where you apply more faith. You must persist in the inner feeling despite the outer contradiction. You must be like the actor who, even when the set shakes and a line is flubbed, never breaks character. Your persistence is the command that forces the 3D to rearrange itself. 3. Let the how take care of itself. The manager mind is obsessed with the how. How will the money come? How will the meeting happen? How will the healing occur? This is not your concern. Your single focus is to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled. The intelligence of the universe, which is your own I amness, will orchestrate the events. people, and opportunities in a way your logical mind could never conceive. Your assumption opens the door. Providence will handle the logistics. A living example, the car. You recall the car I needed to sell, the one that carried the story of lack. After I had accepted and dissolved the resistance around it, I applied this faith. I stopped trying to sell it. I stopped being a seller. Every day I would sit for a few minutes and feel the relief and lightness of the car already being sold. I felt the weight lifted from my shoulders. I felt the financial ease of the transaction being complete. I generated this feeling in my core until it felt more real than the physical car sitting in my driveway. 14. When I thought about the car, I did not think, I hope someone buys it. I thought, thank you for the value it provided and the smooth sale. I persisted in this state. I let go of how or when it would happen. Within a week, a buyer appeared, not through frantic effort, but through a synchronistic series of events, and the sale was completed with an ease that felt inevitable. This is applied faith. It is not magic. It is physics. Your inner state is a frequency that must, by law, manifest a matching outer reality. So I ask you, what is the car in your life? Identify one thing you wish to change. Not a vague wish, but a specific desire. Now stop trying to get it. Instead, for the next week, practice this. 1. Feel it real. Twice a day, sit for 5 minutes and vividly imagine, with all your senses, what it feels like to have your desire fulfilled. Embody the state. Let the feeling wash over you. 2. Persist. When the old reality screams for your attention, acknowledge it, but do not accept it as truth. Return to the feeling of your fulfilled wish. This is your new truth. 3. Release the how. Consciously dismiss any thoughts that try to figure out the how. Your mantra is, I am the cause. The how is not my concern. This is where knowledge becomes wisdom. This is where you stop reading about the path and start walking it. Applied faith is the walk. Chapter 5. Receive flow. You have issued the command. You have assumed the state of the wish fulfilled. You are thinking from your desire, not of it. Now you must do the most difficult thing of all. Get out of the way. This is the art of receiving flow. It is not a passive waiting. It is an active allowing. It is the feminine to the masculine of applied faith. If faith is the command you broadcast, receiving flow is tuning your receiver to the same frequency and letting the signal come in, clear and undistorted. Most people fail here. They plant the seed of a new assumption, and then, an hour later, they dig it up to see if it has grown. Their faith is laced with the anxiety of how and when. This anxiety is a static that jams the signal. It is a vibration of lack that tells the universe, I do not have it, thereby perpetuating the state of not having it. To receive flow, you must embody the vibration of already having. The pillars of receiving flow. 1. Cultivate divine indifference. This is your greatest tool. It does not mean you don't care. It means you are no longer emotionally entangled with the how and when. You know the outcome is certain, so you release your white-knuckled grip on the timeline. You are like a farmer who, after planting the seed, doesn't stand over the field in a panic. He tends to other matters, trusting the laws of nature. When you are divinely indifferent, you are not broadcasting neediness. You are broadcasting the quiet confidence of ownership. This is the frequency to which providence responds. 2. Recognize the bridge of incidence. The universe will not simply drop your desired outcome into your lap. It will orchestrate a series of events, a bridge of incidents, that leads you there. Your job is to recognize the stepping stones and step onto them. These incidents may seem unrelated, even contrary, to your goal at first. A closed door that seems like a rejection is often the universe redirecting you to the right door. Stay in your state, and you will see the breadcrumbs. Follow them with curiosity, not desperation. 3. Become a conduit, not a reservoir. Flow is movement. If you receive a trickle of abundance, be it money, love, or opportunity, and you clench it tightly out of fear, you dam the flow. To receive more, you must circulate what you have. Give, tip generously, share knowledge, offer praise, express gratitude. The act of giving is a powerful affirmation that you are the source, not a beggar at the end of the line. It tells the universe, there is more where that came from, and the flow increases. A practice in receiving. The gratitude loop. Your mind is a powerful magnet. What you appreciate, appreciates. The fastest way to align yourself with the frequency of reception is through a state of deep, embodied gratitude. Do not just think, I am grateful. Feel it. 1. Anchor the feeling. Sit quietly and bring to mind something you are genuinely deeply grateful for. The love of your child, the warmth of the sun, a beautiful memory. Locate the physical sensation of that gratitude in your body. It might be a warmth in your heart, a lightness in your chest, a smile that comes unbidden. This is the vibration of reception. 2. Amplify and transfer. Now, while holding that somatic feeling, bring your desired outcome to mind. Feel the same exact gratitude for it, as if it is already yours. Thank the universe for the perfect sale of the car. Thank it for the abundant funds. Thank it for the vibrant health. Do this for a few minutes each day. You are not begging. You are practicing the feeling of having received. You are tuning your entire being to the channel of fulfillment. Receiving flow is the natural result of a command issued in faith and followed by a heart at peace. It is the universe's yes, echoing back to your I am. Stop straining. Start allowing. The flow is here. Your only task is to let it in. 17. Chapter 6. Patience. You have commanded. You are allowing. You have tuned your receiver to the frequency of fulfillment. Now the universe asks you one final, crucial question. How deeply do you trust your own command? This is where patience is born. But understand this clearly. The patience I speak of is not a passive waiting. It is not the sigh of resignation, the ticking clock of anxiety, or the bitter acceptance of delay. True patience is the active, embodied knowing that your assumption is already a present fact. It is the unwavering abiding in the state of the wish fulfilled, regardless of what the sensory world reports. The mind, the old manager, will scream that patience is inaction. It will demand that you do something, that you force, manipulate, or strive. This is the vibration of lack and distrust. It is the surest way to sever the flow you have begun to receive. Imagine you have placed an order at your favorite restaurant. You know the kitchen has received it. You trust the chef. What do? You do not run into the kitchen to check on the food. You do not call the chef every 5 minutes. You relax at your table. You enjoy the conversation. You know the meal is coming. This is patience. It is a state of trust in a process that is already in motion. The alchemy of active patience. 1. Live in the end, not the interval. The interval is the time between the assumption and its physical manifestation. Most people live here, in the anxious gap, and their energy becomes one of waiting for, which is a state of not having. You must refuse to live in the interval. Your home is the end. The feeling of the wish fulfilled. Dwell there. Let your inner world be so real, so vivid, that the outer world becomes the ghost, the echo, the insignificant shadow that it is. Embrace the sanctity of the unfoldment. The bridge of incidence is a sacred construction. It is often built in ways your logical mind could never design. What you perceive as a delay is often the universe assembling a more elegant, more perfect outcome than you could have imagined. To resent the timing is to arrogantly assume you know a better way. Your patience is your trust in intelligence, greater than your own frantic mind, which is, ironically, your own I-amness. 3. Let patience be your power. Impatience is a leakage of your creative power. It is you taking your attention away from your fulfilled desire and placing it on the lack of it. When you feel impatience rise, recognize it for what it is, a temptation to fall back into an old state. Use the tools of acceptance, acknowledge the feeling, then consciously and deliberately return your attention to the feeling of fulfillment. This is not suppression. It is a sovereign act of redirecting your focus to where your power truly lies. Your assumption is a scientific fact in the unmanifest realm. Patience is the discipline of not contradicting that fact with your energy, your attention, or your actions. It is holding the vision steady until the 3D world, which is always on a delay, catches up. Do not pray for patience as if it were a burden. Command patience as the natural expression of your absolute certainty. When you have truly assumed a state, the question of how long becomes irrelevant. You are already there. The manifestation is simply the world conforming to a reality you have already claimed. So abide, occupy your new state. The harvest is guaranteed. Chapter 8. Fearless. To stand your ground is to pass the test. To become fearless is to realize there was never anything to test you in the first place. Fearlessness is not the absence of the sensation of fear. The body with its ancient wiring may still send its signals. Fearlessness is the profound understanding that the you who commands your reality is utterly untouched by these signals. It is the realization that fear is a shadow cast by the mind, and you are the light. When you have consistently stood your ground, a tipping point is reached. The old manager persona, having been starved of your attention and belief, loses its power to narrate your life. Its threats become empty, its warnings become background noise. You have decommissioned it. In this space, a new quality of being emerges. Fearlessness is the natural fragrance of abiding in the I am. It is not something you need to create. It is what remains when you stop creating its opposite. You are not becoming fearless. You are uncovering the fearlessness that was always there, buried under layers of learned powerlessness. This state has specific characteristics. 1. Non-anticipation. You no longer live in the anxious gap between your command and its manifestation. You know the outcome is a divine certainty. Therefore, you are not braced for failure or desperately hoping for success. You are in a state of relaxed, open-ended curiosity about how the universe will deliver your assumption. The how becomes a delightful surprise, not a source of anxiety. 2. Radical responsibility. In the state of fear, you see yourself as a victim of external forces. In the state of fearlessness, you understand that every circumstance is a perfect reflection of your inner state. There is no one and nothing to blame. This is not a burden, but the ultimate liberation. If you created it, you can uncreate it. You are the sole author, and fearlessness is the pen in your hand. 3. The dissolution of the ego's protection racket. The ego mind sells you a story that it is your protector. Without me, it says, you would be reckless, you would fail, you would be hurt. Its method of protection is to generate fear. But once you see that the fear itself was the only thing ever harming you, the ego's game is over. You fire the corrupt security guard. You realize the mansion of your soul was never in danger. How to abide in fearlessness. Do not try to be fearless. Instead, practice the behaviors of the fearless version of you. So, make decisions from the end. Before acting, ask, what would the version of me who has already received this desire do now? then do that. The fearless you does not hesitate. It acts from its fulfilled state. So, speak the language of the absolute. Let your inner dialogue and your outer speech reflect your sovereignty. Replace I hope with I know. Replace I wish with it is done. Your words are creative acts. Use them to command your reality, not to plead with it. So, when the old fear arises, greet it as a ghost. Acknowledge the sensation. Thank your body for its misguided attempt to protect you, and then gently return your focus to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You are not fighting the fear, you are outgrowing it. Fearlessness is your birthright. It is the quiet, unshakable confidence of the I am, which knows it is one with the source of all that is. There is nothing to fear when you understand that you are the creator of the dream. Walk on. The path is cleared for you. Chapter 9. Releasing control of the manager. You have met the manager. You have learned to identify its voice and choose a different state. You have felt the fearlessness that comes from no longer being its puppet. Now we arrive at the final conscious act of inner sovereignty, the full and final release. Releasing control of the manager is not an act of violence. It is not a battle. It is a funeral. It is the solemn, respectful laying to rest of an old identity that has served its purpose and is now obsolete. You are not killing a part of yourself. You are graduating from it. The manager was born from a necessary illusion, the illusion that you were separate, small, and vulnerable, and that you needed a complex defense system to survive. Its entire existence was predicated on controlling an external world it perceived as hostile. But you have realized a greater truth. You are not a separate self navigating a dangerous universe. You are the I am, the very consciousness within which the universe unfolds. The need for control is the root of all suffering, because it is a confession of fear. When you know yourself as the source, control becomes not only impossible, but irrelevant. The final release, a ceremony in consciousness. This is an internal ritual. Find a quiet moment and walk through these steps. 1. The acknowledgement. Sit in stillness and invite the image of the manager to appear. See it as that overworked, anxious administrator. Acknowledge it aloud or in your mind. For my entire life, I believed you were me. I believed your stories of lack, your forecasts of doom, your judgments. You worked tirelessly, and I am grateful for the lessons. You taught me what I am not. 2. The forgiveness and thanks. This is crucial. Do not harbor resentment for the life it limited. Thank it. Thank you for trying to protect me. You were doing the best you could with the old data, but I have new information now. I am safe because I am the source. Your strategy of control is no longer needed. 3. The conscious dissolution. Now, visualize the manager. See it take a bow, smile with relief, and dissolve into a cloud of neutral golden light. Watch as this light is absorbed back into your heart, into your core. This is the reintegration of that energy back into your wholeness. The role is dead, but the energy is reclaimed. 4. The assumption of command. Place your hand over your heart. Feel the silence where its voice used to be. In that silence, make this declaration: I am the soul. 24. Authority in my consciousness. There is no other voice. I am the creator. I am the command. Life after the manager. What happens when the manager is gone? Decision-making becomes effortless. You no longer spiral in analysis paralysis. You consult your inner state, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and act from there. Soul drama evaporates. Without a manager to interpret events as personal threats or injustices, life becomes a series of neutral events, a flowing river you navigate with grace. Co-creation becomes instantaneous. The biggest block between your assumption and its manifestation was the manager's constant contradiction. With that noise silenced, your commands echo in a void and manifest with stunning speed and clarity. You are not losing a manager. You are gaining a kingdom. The control you were desperately trying to exert over the external world was the very thing that imprisoned you. In releasing it, you discover you never needed it. You were always free. The cage door was open the whole time. You simply had to stop listening to the part of you that insisted it was locked. Walk forward now, not as a managed employee of life, but as its conscious creator. The chair is empty. You have taken the throne. Chapter 10. Realization of Truth. The cage is open. The warden is gone. The complex, exhausting work of managing a separate self is over. Now look around. What is here? Not a new belief, not a better philosophy, not another concept to be understood. What is here is what has always been here, waiting patiently beneath the noise. It is the realization of truth. This is not something you learn, it is something you remember. It is the final, irrevocable knowing of what you are and the nature of the reality you inhabit. Truth is not a relative thing. It is not personal. It is not your truth versus my truth. That is the language of the manager, who deals only in perspectives and opinions. Truth is absolute. It is infinite and unchanging. It is the fundamental substrate of all that is. Your entire journey has been a process of clearing away everything that is not true, so that the truth can stand revealed. So what is it? Let us point directly at it. The realizations. 1. I am. This is the primary fundamental fact of existence. Before you are a man, a woman, an author, a healer, before any story, you are. This pure conscious awareness is not a thing you have, it is what you are. It is the one constant in every changing experience. It is the screen upon which the movie of your life plays. It is the only thing that is real about you. Nalpen 2. Creation is finished. The entire field of infinite possibility already exists, fully formed in this eternal now. Every state of being, the wealthy you, the healed you, the joyous you, already exists as a completed reality. You are not creating anything new. You are simply, through the power of your I am, moving your awareness into the state you desire to experience. You are not a painter creating a picture. You are a viewer choosing which finished masterpiece to step into. 3. The outer world is a shadow. The physical, 3D world, what you see, touch and hear, is not the cause of your life. It is the effect. It is a perfect, precise and neutral reflection of your inner state of consciousness. It is the shadow cast by the light of your I am. To try to change the shadow without changing the object. 26. Casting it is the definition of insanity. You have been trying to rearrange the images on the movie screen, instead of changing the film reel. The reel is your assumption. The projector is your I am. For there is no other. The separate people and forces you perceived out there were also part of the reflection. In the absolute sense, there is only one I am, expressing itself in infinite individualized points of view. When you hurt another, you are hurting yourself. When you bless another, you are blessing yourself. This is not a moral commandment. It is a statement of physics. This realization is not an intellectual conclusion. It is a collapse. It is the collapse of the entire worldview you thought was real. It can be frightening for a moment, as the last props of your separate identity are kicked away. But then a profound peace descends. The burden you were never meant to carry, the burden of being a separate self in a hostile universe, is lifted. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean, expressing itself as a drop. This is the truth you have been seeking. It was hidden in plain sight, obscured only by the belief that it was elsewhere. You are home. Chapter 11. Being born as I am. All the paths have been walked. All the concepts have been dissolved. All the managers have been released. What now? There is no higher realization than the truth you have remembered. There is only one thing left, to be it. This is what it means to be born as I am. It is not a beginning, but a conscious return. It is the final relaxation into what you have always been, before the world told you who you were supposed to be. The you that you thought you were, the one with a name, a history, a collection of problems and preferences, that one was never born. It was assembled. It was a story you were telling yourself. Being born as I am is the end of that story and the beginning of your true life. This birth is not a loud event. It is the quietest thing in the world. It is the simple, unwavering abidance as the conscious awareness behind the story. It is noticing that you are the space in which thoughts arise, not the thoughts themselves. You are the awareness that watches the feelings, not the feelings themselves. You are the silence that holds the sound. The landscape of this new life. To be born as I am is to live in a new relationship with everything, cause with problems. They are no longer personal threats, but simply patterns of energy in the field of your awareness. You engage with them not from a place of panic, but from the calm command of the I am, knowing you have the power to assume a new state and let the old pattern dissolve. Forward desire. Desire ceases to be a cry of lack from a separate self. It becomes the creative impulse of the universe itself, moving through you. You fulfill desires not by getting something, but by becoming the version of I am for whom that desire is a natural expression. The desire is the universe pointing you toward your next state of being. For with others, you no longer see separate selves to judge, fear, or manipulate. You see other expressions of the one I am, wearing different costumes, playing different roles. Your interaction becomes a sacred dance of the one with itself. Compassion becomes automatic, for you can no longer truly be harmed by another character in your dream. With time, the anxiety of past and future dissolves into the eternal now. You understand that all power exists in this single eternal moment. The past is a memory trace in the present. The future is an imagination in the present. You command your reality from here, and only from here. This is not a state of perfection, but a state of presence. You will still experience the human spectrum of emotion, but you will no longer be lost in it. A storm may arise on the ocean, but the depths remain undisturbed. You are the depths. You are not trying to become spiritual. You are realizing that you are, and always have been, spirit having a human experience. So how do you live from here? You don't do anything. You are. You relax into being. You make choices from the feeling of your innate wholeness. You create from a place of playful curiosity, not desperate need. You allow life to flow through you, as you, knowing it is all your own creation. The impossible book has been written. The impossible you has been unwritten. What remains is the most simple, obvious, and glorious thing. You, I am. Epilogue. The most dangerous law. Throughout this book, we've dismantled the concept of impossible. We've navigated realization and acceptance. We've applied faith as a conscious command. But all of that work can be effortlessly undone if you do not understand the most dangerous law of all. It is not a law that punishes you. It is a law that obeys you, relentlessly and impartially, whether you are conscious of it or not. The most dangerous law is the law of assumption. Why is it so dangerous? Because it is always on. It never takes a day off. It is the silent, perpetual engine of your reality, translating your dominant, persistent assumptions. your unconscious, deep-seated beliefs about yourself and your world, into the facts of your life. You are always assuming a state, and that state is always manifesting. The danger is not in the law itself. The danger lies in your unconsciousness of it. If you unconsciously assume you are unworthy, the law will faithfully manifest a world that reflects unworthiness back to you through financial lack, failed relationships, and missed opportunities. You will see it as bad luck or the way the world is, never realizing you are the source. If you unconsciously assume the world is a hostile place, the law will faithfully deliver conflicts, betrayals, and obstacles, confirming your assumption. Or if you unconsciously assume that money is hard to come by, the law will ensure your efforts feel arduous and your results are meager. This is the ultimate trap. You are using the most powerful creative force in the universe against yourself, all while believing you are a victim of external circumstances. This is why the work of realization was so vital, to see the hose and not the snake. This is why acceptance is non-negotiable, to dissolve the resistance that holds those negative assumptions in place. And this is why applied faith is your salvation. It is the conscious, deliberate use of this very same law. The law is neutral. Your awareness is what makes it heaven or hell. 30. When you become conscious of the law of assumption, its danger transforms into its power. The same law that once seemed to work against you now becomes the tool of your sovereign command. You move from being a passive effect of your unconscious assumptions to being the active cause of your conscious ones. You stop assuming you are a seeker and assume you are the finder. You stop assuming you are a student and assume you are the master. You stop assuming you are broken and assume you are already whole. The law has no choice but to comply. So the most dangerous question you can ask yourself is not what do I want, but what am I at this very moment assuming to be true about myself and my life? Your answer is what is currently being written into your story. If you don't like the story, you must change the assumption, not tomorrow, now. The law of assumption does not care about your wishes. It only responds to your state. Know this law, master it, and you move from being a character in a play to being the playwright. This is the final frontier of your sovereignty.